Hi there! Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Julie DiMatteo from thepaperpixie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you my version of a double flip-top lid box. This one is sized to fit 3x3 note cards and envelopes. And inside I have a dozen of the best dressed 3x3 note cards and envelopes. So just to show you, it holds a dozen, but it's just a really sweet box. I love the way that it opens, and it also closes with a magnetic closure. How cool is that? I love that sound. So let me show you how easy this is to make. For this version, we're going to do petal pink for the inside box, and I have a piece of petal pink that measures 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and this one's real easy scoring. We're going to score at 1 inch and 2 inch on all 4 sides. Like so. Next, we're going to fold and burnish on all the score lines. I bring in the template here. Next, I'm going to cut up each of the vertical score lines, stopping at the second horizontal score line. And then we're going to end up removing the 3 squares in each corner. But the easiest way to do that, so we've released all of these sections here, I'm going to come in, I'm also going to notch and remove these 2 squares on the outside, and then 1 square. So what we've got is this section is notched, and then we've got a loose tab. I'm going to come in and notch that section. And then we're going to do the same thing to this opposite corner. So come in and notch while I'm also removing the 2 squares on the outside. And then we'll remove the 1 square. Then we're going to notch this little tab. Basically, any pieces of the cardstock that are going to fold into the box need to be notched. And then I'm also going to notch on either side of this outside section here. And one side is done, so I'm going to turn this 180 and we'll repeat the same thing, cutting up each of the vertical score lines, stopping at the second horizontal score line. All right, then we're going to remove the 2 outside squares, also notching in this section. Then removing the 1 square. Notch this tab in. Then we'll remove these 2 squares, notching in this 1 square. Then we'll notch that tab. And then we're going to notch in this outside section. Now our box base looks like the template. Next, I'm going to take tear and tape, and I'm going to run it along the edge of all of these outside sections. Like so. Now that's the part that folds into the box. That's the side that you want to add the tear and tape to. Now we're just going to take some liquid multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to glue each tab to the box. So putting glue on the tab one at a time. I'm going to line up this score line with this cut edge to form one of the box corners. Liquid glue works great because you get a little bit of wiggle room to get that lined up just right. And then we're going to work our way around to all of the tabs. All right, I'm going to fold back these sections just to make it easier to pull the backing off the tear and tape. All right, then we're just going to fold these into the box. And then the last thing I'll do is come in and burnish each of those sides. All right, then our interior box is done. I love that double reinforced edge. And next we're going to work on our flip top lid. Now in order for this to fit around the interior box, we are going to do some 1/16 inch increments, but I'll walk you through it as I go. This piece of lovely lipstick measures 5 7/16, which is 1/16 less than 5 1/2, by 9 13/16, which is 1 tick mark past 9 3/4. Now along the short side, we want to go ahead and make sure you're using your scoring tool. I like to use the paper trimmer for this because we've got the 1/16 inch increments on here. And on the short side, we're going to score each side at 1 1/16. So I'm lining up the right edge, 1 tick mark past 1 inch, which is 1 1/16. And then I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees and do the same measurement, 1 1/16. Then on the long side, we're going to score this at 2 3/16, which is 1 tick mark before 2 1/4. And then 3 1/4. There's an easy measurement for you. So 3 1/4. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees and do the same thing, 2 3/16. And 3 1/4. And that's it for the difficult measurements. So let's go ahead and fold and burnish on all the score lines. All right, now bringing in the template, this looks like a funny spaceship looking shape here. And with the piece of Lovely Lipstick in landscape mode, I'm gonna come and cut up 2 score lines in, so 2 vertical score lines in, cutting up to the first horizontal score line. And the same thing from the left, 2 score lines in and up 1. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, so rotate it 180, 2 score lines in, cut up 1. And then again, 2 score lines in, cut up 1. And now what we're going to do is remove these 2 center sections. So I just like to fold, and either side of the cardstock, whichever side's easier for you to see the score lines, just fold the bottom section out of the way, and then you can come in and remove that center section. I'm just cutting right on the score line there. Like so. I'm going to rotate this, do the same thing to the opposite side. All right, so we've gotten those 2 sections removed. Now what we're gonna do is cut up each of these vertical score lines, but stopping at the next horizontal score line. Let me turn it this way. We're gonna be creating tabs here, and I do it in this direction just because of the way that I'm gonna glue the tabs in. So I'm gonna come in and cut up that score line, stopping at the next horizontal, and then we've got this tab released. So I'm gonna continue to do that to all 4 of those little sections. And then again, since those are tabs, I'm going to notch those, but I like to fold all this cardstock out of the way. So all I have to focus on are those tabs. Hopefully you saw how I did that. So just folding this totally out of the way just makes it so much easier to cut these notches. All right, then we'll do the same thing on the bottom here. Fold that cardstock out of the way. All right, so it's starting to look like our template here. The last thing we have to do is to cut on the diagonal here. And you can kind of adjust how you want to cut this diagonal based on how you want the side profile to look. I like the way it looks to cut just a straight diagonal, and I'm going from corner to opposite corner in this rectangle section. So you just hold your cardstock in whatever position is easiest for you to cut. Now you can certainly use your trimmer for this. I'm just going to hand cut it with my paper snips. But again, I'm cutting corner to corner. And I'm just flipping my cardstock. And we'll continue that on the remaining 3 corners. All right, now that looks like our template. All right, before we start to glue this together, I've got 2 pieces of the Best Dressed Designer Series paper. These measure 1 7/8 by 3 inches. And if you have a directional pattern, you'll want it to be in portrait. And those are gonna adhere right to these 2 sections. So I'm just gonna do that with multi-purpose liquid glue. Okay, now it is time to glue this together. So we're gonna just glue these tabs. I'm gonna put liquid glue, we'll do 1 at a time. And I'm lining up this score line with this cut edge to form that corner there. And the liquid glue, get that slid right into place. And then we'll just work our way around. And if you want to, you can push from the inside as well. But we'll work our way around to the rest of the tabs. And the last thing I like to do is just kind of fold this back on the score line. That's just going to help that hinge a little bit better to go in both directions. And then what we're going to do is just glue this box to the inside here. And there should be just enough space to do that. So the box is going to close like so. I love that. All right, I'm just going to use a fairly generous amount of liquid glue on the bottom here. You don't want too much so it's not oozing off the sides, but I'm staying about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so away from the edge there. And then the liquid glue is going to give us some time to slide this right into place. And just take your time getting it in there. You'll have a little bit of space because we did those 1/16 of an inch increments. Again, I'm just eyeballing it, sliding things kind of into place. That's looking pretty good. Let's make sure it'll close. Perfect. All right, now we can press it into place. I actually like to use the bottom of my glue bottle. Make sure you put the lid back on, and then that's just going to give us a flat edge to press down and burnish that glue into place. All right, so there is the basics of the box. I love how that looks. Let's grab our 12 note cards and envelopes to place in the box. And now let's do a little bit of decorating. I'm using the So Sentimental bundle and the sentiment I can't thank you enough. And then we're going to use the largest and second largest dies from this grouping of dies. I've already cut out a piece from Blackberry Bliss and a piece from Whisper White. Now, if you remember from last week's tutorial, I had a little template set up and I just decided to reuse it for this project. So I've got lovely lipstick ink and we're going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment. All right, so I'm going to layer these two pieces with liquid glue. And I'm going to grab a pair of rhinestones to put on either side here for a little bit of bling. All right, now I like to close mine where the right closes first, then the left. And then we're going to glue the sentiment piece to the left-hand side or the left flip-top lid. So I'm going to go about 2/3 of the back with liquid glue, and I'm not going to go all the way to the edge there. But then we're just going to line this up. I'm eyeballing it so that it's centered. All right, and then we can just adhere it this way. There we go. Now, let me show you how to put the magnet on. I get my magnets from Total Element. These are the 1/4 inch by 1/32 of an inch. I'll just grab a pair of them and I'll get them separated here. I'm going to take one of the magnets and stick it to a glue dot. Then just pick that up with my Take Your Pick tool. And then on the inside of the right flip top lid, I'm going to come in and put the magnet, I don't know, I'm about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch from the edge there. It doesn't need to be perfect. Then what I'm going to do is take the other magnet and just drop it. I think you can see. So obviously magnets attract, so you can just drop it near that magnet and it's going to line up right where you want it to go. I'll grab one more mini glue dot, place that on the top of this magnet, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm closing the box where I want it to fit. And then I'm going to pick up that magnet with the sentiment piece. And now that's going to be right where I want it to go to hold that closed. I love that sound that it makes when it clicks together. Now, if you're concerned with little ones at home, you could certainly use a Velcro dot. You could also try to hide the magnet underneath the Designer Series paper. You could tie this with a ribbon instead. Lots of different ways to close this box. But there is our double flip top lid box. Here's the Petal Pink version, and here is the Daffodil Delight version, even though that looks like Pineapple Punch on the screen. So I love the way this turned out. What a sweet little gift for somebody with a set of little 3x3 note cards and envelopes, and it's really easy to make. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. If you're interested in purchasing any of the Stampin' Up! Products I used today, they'll be linked in the description. And I'll also include a link to my detailed blog post with all project measurements, details, and pictures of the templates. I'd love to have you come visit me at thepaperpixie.com, where I post projects every weekday to inspire you. And if you don't want to miss a thing, you can subscribe to receive my blog updates via email, and you'll get an email each time I publish a new post. You can shop with me anytime at thepaperpixie.com/shop. And if you're interested in a discount on your Stampin' Up! Purchases, the starter kit is the ultimate bundle, and it's a great way to get your wish list for less. I'd love to have you join my team of Paper Pixies, and you can purchase the starter kit at thepaperpixie.com/join. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you'd like a complimentary copy of one of our catalogs, you can order catalogs through me at thepaperpixie.com/catalogs. And if you give this project a try, I'd love to see what you made, so feel free to share it on social media with the hashtag #PaperPixie, and I'll be sure to check it out. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Take care. Bye.